anytime that you want to make change in your life, whether it's personal, professional, health-wise, boundaries-wise, you have to look at what are the beliefs that you're telling yourself about that change, because 80 to 90% of our behaviors, thoughts, patterns, urges, drives are driven from our subconscious mind. And what that means is you can consciously have a goal. You can consciously set an intention. You can know that you need the space for yourself, or know that you need to work out every day, or know that it's healthy to eat clean, or whatever. But that deeper, more primitive part of your brain where your subconscious beliefs lie, anytime you want to drive a change in your life, you have to clean up your beliefs. Otherwise, if your beliefs are not in alignment with this new version of you, you will absolutely sabotage yourself.
Hey, I'm Brooke Jean, therapist, recovering perfectionist, and struggling working mom on a mission to normalize normal. If you're an overwhelmed, high-achieving, and secretly anxious mama, struggling to balance it all and on the brink of burnout, you are in the right place. Here is where we talk about hard things like balancing work and family life, mental health, and how to navigate life-altering transitions. Nothing is too taboo here. In my conversations, I'll teach you how to let go of who you think you're supposed to be in order to create the life you've always wanted. Get ready to embrace your messy, shed the shoulds, and find freedom through a life unperfected. This is the Unperfected Pod.
Well, hello there, Mama. Welcome back to the Unperfected Pod, where we normalize normal and find freedom through a life unperfected. I am so glad to have you back. And before we jump into today's topic, I have a quick announcement. We have officially launched our group program just for mamas. That's right. It's the Unperfected Mama Group Coaching Program, which is a 12-week virtual get-together with like-minded mamas like yourself, where we connect, conspire, heal, and grow. We explore what it means to be a quote-unquote good enough mom. We get clear on who we are under our roles and responsibilities. We learn how to ask for help, how to set boundaries, how to create space in our lives. We learn how to take aligned action toward creating the life that we've always wanted. So if you have been longing for community, if you have been feeling unfulfilled in your life and it's like something is bubbling up bigger inside of you, this is going to be just a magical opportunity to work with me and to be in a group. In my personal and professional experience, there really isn't much more powerful than community and getting together in groups. So I would love to have you if you're interested in joining us. We kick off April 5th. 2023, and there's going to be a link in the show notes where you can go to my website and see all the details. We are running an early bird special, so if you join before April 1st, you're going to get a discounted rate and some juicy bonuses like our e-course, the Brain Health Reboot, for free, and a one-to-one private session with me. So we would love to have you. Let's get into today's topic. Today, I'm going to share with you how I gained 2 to 3 hours back into my day for myself. And here's the kicker, without the guilt. So today's podcast is going to be like a sample coaching session, a sample teaching to give you a little taste of what it would be like to work with us in the group setting. Okay, so let me ask you this. Are you a mama who is finding herself waking up in the morning to a total jolt of anxiety or adrenaline, to then rush around, feel like you're behind, trying to get your kids out the door and where they need to go on time, while spilling coffee on yourself or spilling coffee, on your shirt, your work shirt, in the car, on the way to work, where the entire time you feel like your chest is going to explode, nothing about it is peaceful, your kids are pushing back on everything, you get them where they're supposed to go just to remember that they forgot their lunch or you forgot an important notebook for work. Then you rush into your day which then looks like rushing into meeting to meeting to meeting or project to project. You skip over your lunch because you feel like you're behind and you need to get caught up. And before you know it, it's time to pick up your kids or time to call it out. You don't feel like you've gotten enough done for the day. You go get your kids, you take into their things. Now we still have to figure out dinner, but it's 7:00. My kids are just living off fast food or sweets or things that are making me feel like a terrible mom. And we get home and we do homework and everybody's tired and grumpy. And it's not like I enjoy doing this shit, and get everyone to bed just so you can literally fall lifeless into your bed at 10:00 at night so you can sleep restlessly and wake up and do it all again the next day. Mama, if that sounds like your day right now, where you are just burning the candle at both ends and on the brink of burnout, like no matter what you do, there's never enough of you to go around. And if you're on top of things at work, you're not on top of things with the kids, or if you're on top of things with the family, you're behind at work and you're wondering if your coworkers are judging you. And really, it just feels like you're giving of yourself all day long, but you're not mastering anything. And so you live with this sense of, I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. And so this podcast is an invitation for you to jump off that hamster wheel, for you to look at your day completely different. And instead of pouring into everyone and everything first, learning to claim space and charge your battery so you can then show up for the things that matter most. So in my life, guys, that used to be my day, right? The busyness of the morning, the getting the kiddo to school, the rushing to work, to be throwing yourself at work all day just to like rush home. Like that was my life. And it wasn't fulfilling. And the burnout of trying to keep up, the burnout of trying to be the best leader I could be, the best mom I could be, the best partner, keeping the house in check, keeping the bills paid, going on the vacations, creating the memories, going to every soccer practice and every band practice, like trying to keep up with it was absolutely making me sick, because what I was doing was every night numbing out by eating, drinking, and Amazon priming. So I realized that something had to give, honey. Something had to give. I had it backwards. I needed to fill my tank, do my work, put myself first, and rearrange some things. And I have to say, while it's still messy because nothing is perfect, nothing is linear, I have intentionally crafted 2 to 3 hours a day in my calendar for myself to do those things that recharge me, that fill my tank. And so I am here to teach you how to do the same. So let's get into it. The first step to creating some space for yourself in your day is looking at your beliefs around creating space for yourself in your day. Why? Because anytime that you want to make change in your life, whether it's personal, professional, health-wise, boundaries-wise, you have to look at what are the beliefs that you're telling yourself about that change, because 80 to 90% of our behaviors, thoughts, patterns, urges, drives are driven from our subconscious mind. And what that means is you can consciously have a goal. You can consciously set an intention. You can know that you need the space for yourself, or know that you need to work out every day, or know that it's healthy to eat clean, or whatever. But that deeper, more primitive part of your brain where your subconscious beliefs lie, they are the reason why you find yourself, at the liquor store, or driving through the drive-thru, or eating that chocolate in the pantry late at night, or, making that purchase that you shouldn't be making, or numbing out on social media for 2 hours, or whatever it is. So anytime you want to drive a change in your life, you have to clean up your beliefs. Otherwise, if your beliefs are not in alignment with this new version of you, you will absolutely sabotage yourself. Okay? So when I just say to you this, Mama, you are now going to start claiming 2 to 3 hours a day for yourself to do something simply for yourself. I want you to notice what comes up for you. What beliefs that are disguised as narratives and stories and negative thoughts are coming up for you right now? You might be saying to yourself, there's no way that I can do that. There's not enough time in the day. Good moms spend those moments with their family. That'll put too much on someone else. There's no one to help me. Who am I to take up that much space in the day? There's always more to do. So those thoughts that are creeping in right out of the gate, as I'm even just suggesting that you take time for yourself, those are highlighting your subconscious core beliefs that you have around mothers taking time for themselves. If you haven't already, guys, episode 2 of the podcast teaches you about where these subconscious core beliefs come from, all about conditioning and how to reprogram and reframe them. But we're going to talk a little bit about that process in here as well today. But here's step 1, honey. We have got to update those beliefs. Because those beliefs that good moms spend every waking minute with their families, that's an outdated belief that is not in alignment with the modern day mom who is doing all the things. You may have heard or even think in your rational brain, intellectually, that it is important for us as moms to take care of our wellness. You may think, yeah, it does make sense that we need to put our oxygen mask on before we tend to the rest. You may even think, yeah, I can't serve from a dry well. But do you actually believe that it is safe and okay for you to act on that? And I think that we've been conditioned as mothers to believe that we need to put everyone first and we eat last. That the quality of our parenting is dependent upon how much we're doing for our family members, right? We are conditioned to be of service to others, to be nurturing, to be caregivers at the cost of our own well-being. And so that's why it's so easy to find yourself burning the candle at both ends. It's so easy to find yourself running yourself ragged, even though in your intellectual mind, you know it would be healthy for you to have some time in the day to focus on your self-care or your well-being, right? So we can know it, but I think these deeper, more primitive parts of us, these beliefs are incongruent with that movement toward wellness. So we have to give those beliefs an upgrade. So how do we do that? We reframe and we reprogram. So that looks like, okay, if I have an old belief that here's one that I hear all the time that literally makes my stomach churn. Self-care is selfish. That is literally a narrative, a story, a belief that we have adopted. Some of us have adopted. Some of us have already worked through it because we know it's total bullshit. So that might be your old belief. And that old belief is driving your decisions, your behavior, your patterns, your habits, and all those things. So you want to identify a new belief that's healthy, affirming, supportive, and in alignment with someone who takes care of themselves. Like self-care is selfless. Like when I take care of myself, I can better show up for my people, places, and things. Like it is safe for me to take up space on the calendar, right? You may have a story that there is never enough time for me to do the things I want to do. You might need to reframe that to what Marie Forleo, who is one of my teachers, I went through her program, Time Genius, which absolutely informed this process I'm teaching you and my process that I personally went through. Principle number 1 to becoming a time genius that has become a mantra for me is there is always time for what matters most. Or there's always time for what's most important is what I think her language is. Mine is there's always time for what matters most. So right now I want you to identify what is the old belief that's coming up when you imagine yourself taking time for yourself. I want you to write that down. And then next to it, I want you to start to play with what is a new belief that I want to have about that? What is a new belief that would be healthy, that I want driving my behavior? My needs matter. I deserve to rest. When I take care of myself, I can better show up for the world. Those are some of the reframes I want to offer you. And so here's what you do. You write that new belief, I deserve to rest, on a sticky note where you're going to see it every day. And when you start to go through the next steps that I'm going to teach you and that old belief comes forward as a thought, you pause, you notice it, you take a breath, and you restate your new belief. And you do that with repetition over and over. And that is how you begin to weaken the neural pathway that you have around your old belief system. And you start to build a new neural pathway around your new belief system. Friends, this is neuroplasticity. It takes time, but this kind of work will change your life. So I now wake up in my day and I'm telling myself thoughts without even having to try that I deserve to feel good. And that informs my morning ritual, the time that I take for myself, my evening baths, my going to the gym, the things that I do for me. Because the root of it is, I deserve to feel good. But it probably took me a solid 90 days of actively reprogramming for it to sink into my subconscious and become an automatic thought. But that is the process. I want to repeat this. Anytime you want to make a change in your life, you have to update your belief system to match that new version of yourself, or your beliefs will sabotage you. So in other words, if you have a thought, I want to be that mom that takes care of herself, but you have a belief system that self-care is selfish, you're going to have a really hard time maintaining the things you need to do in order to get there. Okay? So number one is update your beliefs. It is more than okay for you to take up space. I promise you, you will feel better and be better in your life when you take care of yourself. Number two, this one's a little bit more tactical. I want you to pull out your calendar, pull it up on your phone, or if you're like me, I still use pen and paper. I think I always will. That's just how I roll. I'm old-fashioned that way. And I want you to start to brain dump on a sheet of paper everything that you're doing in a week. I kid you not. I don't care if it's 47 pages long. I don't care if this exercise takes you an hour. Pause this podcast, do it, and come back and listen to the rest. Or listen to the rest of the podcast, and when you get home tonight before you go to bed, bust out your journal. I want you to brain dump every single thing you do in a week. I'm talking making the kids breakfast. I'm talking getting them to school. I'm talking scheduling meetings. I'm talking recording a podcast. I'm talking going to the kids' soccer games. I'm talking signing them up for picture day. First of all, there is something therapeutic about writing out all that you do and receiving the validation of how long that list is for yourself. You're going to realize, no, I'm not crazy. I'm actually doing a lot. I'm actually doing an insane amount of things. How am I even keeping it all together? How am I even juggling all these balls? There's something about that just feels good. Also, writing things down, taking pen to paper, you tend to get those floating to-dos out of your emotional part of your brain. When we write, it transfers that data from the emotional brain to the prefrontal cortex, where you can actually then analyze it and see, yeah, that's a lot. And also I can categorize it, or I can, prioritize it, or here's when I'm going to get that done, or why am I doing that? I shouldn't even be doing that. So there's a couple of magical things that are going to happen for you just by looking at your calendar and brain dumping out every single thing you do. Next, I'm going to teach you about the Plato's Principle. Again, I learned this from Marie Forleo. The Plato's Principle is basically the 80-20 rule, which says 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. I want you to think about that for just a second, because it took me a minute for my brain to really wrap around this concept. 80% of your outcomes, your results, come from 20% of your effort. Or said the other way, 20% of your effort is going to create 80% of your outcome. And what that means is we need to be crystal clear on what that 20% should be. We've got to identify what are the most important things I should be spending my precious jewels time, energy, and sanity on. This is what I call identifying the big potatoes, okay? We got the big potatoes, we got the small potatoes, and we love to fester and focus on the small potatoes, don't we? Because the world is very distracting. But here is where I guide you through a decision-making process to pick your big potatoes. What's the 20% I should be focused on today? Or we don't should ourselves. What are the most important things that I can use my time, energy, and sanity on? So here's a couple questions, and there's exercises that I guide people through in my groups and in my one-to-one. We do a values exercise. I love the life compass cards. You can order those online on Amazon, where you go through this sorting process to get clear on your core values. And my core values, I'm running everything that I'm saying yes through my core values. Does it align with the things that actually matter most to me? Okay. Then you want to look at the things that actually matter most to you, right? So if health and wellness matters a lot to you, I want to see that represented on your calendar. If education matters a lot to you, I want to see that represented on your calendar. If financial freedom matters a lot to you, if nature matters a lot to you, if being inspired or quality time with your family, the things that light you up, that bring you joy, that make you feel alive, I want to see that on your calendar, honey. Because I guide people to get to a place where just by looking at your calendar, I can identify what your core values are. And that's not to say that there's not things on our calendar that we don't want to do. There's meetings we have to go to. There's things for our kiddos we have to do. There's bills that have to be paid. There's taxes that have to be done. There's always going to be some stuff we just have to do. But those shouldn't be the big potatoes. Those are the things we should be doing when we have less energy. But what are your big potatoes? What are the most important things for you and your family, right? For you and your partner, for you and your children. I want those things taking up space. So what I want you to do is I want you to take that list of all the things that you do, and I want you to start to pull out the big potatoes, right? So like what your kids are really passionate about, you might pull those out. Your workout class, that is the one thing that brings you joy, you pull that out. Date night with your husband, you pull that out. Some business venture that lights you up, you pull that out. Travel, you pull that out. Like whatever it is, I want you to start to pull it out. I want you to think about what are the things that are kicking the ball down the field to create the life that I actually want. Okay? We also spend some time going deep on what is the life that you actually want and what are the things that we could be doing to help you get there. When you imagine your dream life, your dream family, where you live, what you do, who you do it with, how you feel, right? The 20% need to be things that help us kick those balls down the field, that get us closer to this vision we have for the life that we want. And so then I want you to look at the things that are left over. And I want you to do some critical thinking here. I want you to ask yourself, do I really need to be doing this? Who can help me with these things? Can I outsource some of this? What are the things that continuously don't get crossed off my list and make it to next week and the week after and the week after? And honey, they're just not getting done. There's a reason they're not getting done. Either A, you have a block that you need some coaching to overcome to actually make it happen, or B, you shouldn't be doing it. Let's give it to someone else. Okay? So we pull out the big potatoes. These are the things that matter most to us and our family that we know we absolutely are going to be spending time on. The rest, we're looking at it through a critical lens of, is this really the thing that I need to be doing? Is this really the thing that I want to be doing? Is this something that I can ask for help on, delegate to someone, or outsource? Okay. Here's where I also want you to look at what your family's routines are. Routines are kind of important when you're trying to claim 2 to 3 hours a day in your calendar. What time is everybody getting up for the day? What time is everyone going to school or their things? What time is everyone getting home? What time are we getting everyone into their bedrooms or their beds at night? What time am I going to sleep? I highly encourage you guys to wake up and go to sleep at the same time every day. And if you can get your family on board with waking up and going to bed around the same time, or at least going to their rooms. I know for the older kids, we're not able to force them to sleep, but into their rooms. So you can then go, okay, I've got everyone off to their beds and rooms by 8. From 8 to 9:30 is for me. Or I know everyone in my house gets up at 6:30. I'm going to get up at 5:30 to have an hour for a morning ritual. And I think if you start to wake up and go to bed at the same time every day, it will be easier for you to get up at 5:30 in the morning. If you're not a morning person, it'll be easier for you to stay up and utilize that last hour wisely. Okay? Routines matter. If you're just willy-nilly, we're waking up, we're getting out of the house at different times, every day's, I understand that with extracurricular activities, there's a lot of variation. So I'm not saying that we don't have flexibility, but what I am saying is in general, what time is the family waking up and going to bed? And can we scoot that in a little? So there's some bookends for you at the start of the day, at the end of the day, even if you can claim 15 minutes on each end, 30 minutes on each end. I've just given you an hour in your day. Okay? So look at your routines. Look at what you're spending your time doing, and is it in alignment with the things that are going to help you create the life that you want? Because then number 3 is about asking for help and communicating. So when you looked at those small potatoes, those things that don't light you up, again, is there anyone that can help me with this? Here is where I want you to divide and conquer with your partner if you have one. Listen, our partners are perfectly capable of sharing the load, and a lot of them want to. We're just afraid to ask, again, because of our belief system about asking, about taking up space, about accepting help. It says that we're weak or whatever. No, it doesn't. Okay, my partner and I split the workload. So when I'm talking about asking for help, I'm talking about asking your partner to get up with the children and get them ready for school half of the time. I want you to pay attention to what stories are coming up when I say that. And then I want to lovingly let you know that's what my partner does. And so on those mornings when he's on deck, when he's getting up and getting Chloe ready and getting her to school, and by the way, did he have to make some adjustments in his work schedule to accommodate that? You're damn right he did, but that's some shit we do all the time. So he did so happily. But on those mornings that he takes that morning, and I get up at 5:30 or 6:30, I have a solid 3 hours that morning to do my morning ritual, to create, to do things before, my first client is usually at 9 or 10. That's significant, friends. Or if that's not possible based on work schedules or whatever, see if your partner can pick the kids up a day or 2 or 3 a week. Get them to the sporting event. We need to divide and conquer. We don't both need to be at everything all the time, okay? This is what I tell my clients all the time, especially on the weekend. Here's another pocket that I can give you. We don't need to be together with our family every minute of the whole weekend, unless that's what you truly value and enjoy. But my partner and I, we each like to have a chunk where the other partner takes the kid or just plays with her, does her things, while the other person gets to go on a walk, go to the gym, get some work done, rest, play a video game, read a book, whatever it is. So we kind of break up our weekend where each of us gets about a half day to ourselves. And of course, we come together Saturday night for family time. There's still plenty of time for family time. I know when your kiddos are involved in things, a lot of times on the weekend, you're spending them going to games and stuff. Can we divide and conquer the games? I take this Saturday, you take next Saturday? Or can we all go to the games and still say, okay, so that Saturday afternoon, I'm going to go spend 2 hours by myself. And then Sunday morning, you can have 2 hours. We need to stop with this. We all need to be doing all the things together all the time. We all need to go to the grocery store together. No, we don't. Okay? Please don't go with your whole family to the grocery store. I know how overstimulating that is for you. It's a lot, right? Don't be afraid to divide and conquer. It doesn't mean your family isn't close. It doesn't mean you don't love your husband or your wife or your kids. It means that you're trying to establish some sanity by having a little time for you. So ask for what you need. Hey, honey, I was thinking maybe we can try something new on our weekends so we could both have some alone time, some time to recharge. Here's what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts on that? What are you feeling like you need on the weekend? Hey, honey, I could really use some help getting the kids to school. Can we set some time to talk about the kids' school schedules and see what we can come up with? In my program, I even give scripts on how to ask for help because I know just how hard it is for moms to do that. We literally can think in our head, Brooke, this is a brilliant idea. And then for some reason, when we have the opportunity, the words can't come out of our mouth. It's like they get stuck in our throat chakra. Why? Because we feel bad somewhere. Okay? Here's some other ideas that I wanted to throw at you around asking for help or communicating. So you can, if somebody's going to help you in these pockets, you can claim that space for yourself. Okay, we've already talked about dividing and conquering with your partner. But if you don't have a partner, your parents, your neighbors, okay? So is there a neighbor that can pick your kiddo up from the bus station and play with them for an hour? And you do it a different day. Is there a neighbor that can pick your kid up and take him to school? Is there a friend on the soccer team that can pick your kid up and take him to soccer practice on Tuesday and you do it on Thursday? I am all about the parenting trades. This is also the power of joining a mommy community. It's like, even if you don't feel, because there's so many of us that are like, I don't have a mama tribe. And so if you don't, you are not alone, right? You're like, my family's not near me. My partner's not helpful. I don't really know my neighbors. This is where you join a mommy group and you see if you can help each other, right? But also, don't be afraid to get to know your kids' classmates and their parents. This might challenge you if you are a bit more introverted, but I promise you it's valuable because if you can connect with your kids' classmates or soccer teammates or band mates or whatever, you can get to know the parents and you can start to do trades, right? And that is really helpful. So my daughter's now in kindergarten. She has a bestie in her class. And you better believe every single weekend, we do like 3-hour trades where I have the kids for 3 hours and then they have the kids for 3 hours. And what us moms can do in 3 hours is crazy, right? So is there a neighbor that can pick up the kids or take the kids, or you can trade a play date? Is there a classmate's parents, a friend, someone in dance class? This is where you're going to have to like force yourself to be a little bit social because there's help on the way. Okay? We can't just be a hermit and then be like, there's no help. You got to put yourself out there, even if it's hard. You deserve that support. Here's where you ask your parents for more help. Here is where you ask your aunt or uncle. Here is where you ask your older kids to step in and play with your younger kids for an hour so you can get something done or rest. See, again, we are just so afraid to ask. We do everything for our kids. We're constantly saying yes to them, taking them everywhere instead of expecting them to be a little bit self-reliant or expecting them to help us around the house or expecting them to watch their siblings. We feel bad. But I don't know about you, but I grew up watching my siblings and they were a freaking handful, okay? So we need to get out of our own way when it comes to asking for help. We need to ask our partner for what we need. We need to have these courageous, mindful and skillful conversations, which I will coach you on how to do that. We need to ask our neighbors. We need to ask our kids' friends. We need to ask our parents, right? We need to find community. Join a mama group. So these little pockets become pockets for you to recharge, and they add up. We need to divide and conquer with our partner if you have one. Let me check my notes to make sure there's nothing that I'm missing here. Join an evening hobby or gym class and make friends there. See if they have kids. See if they're possible helpers or people you can do trades with. Okay? Ask your boss if you can dip out at 3 p.m. on Tuesdays or earlier. We're also afraid to ask our supervisors for things. Listen, if you don't ask, you won't get. We ask again, we ask differently. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be a problem. We just are afraid to ask. But ask your boss, is it okay if I come in late on Fridays? There's a yoga class I've been dying to get to. Or I'm going to take a long lunch and I'm going to walk or meditate or yoga nidra. Or can I dip out on Tuesdays so I can go home and have the freaking house to myself in silence for an hour before all of these yahoos get home? You guys, these are not inappropriate asks. But let me paint this picture for you. If you get up an hour earlier than your kids, if you have your partner take them to school one day, if you get approval from your supervisor to dip out early one day, if you tell your partner there's a Wednesday aerial yoga class you're going to go to, there's time. If you divide and conquer on the weekend, there's time. If you trade play dates with your neighbors or your kids' friends, there's time. Are you starting to pick up what I'm putting down? There is always time for what matters most. We just need to get out of our own way asking for it. Because we have beliefs that tell us, good moms don't need that kind of help. I should be able to handle my family. No, we were never designed to do it alone, mama. If you look back in history, in every freaking culture, you will see mothers surrounded by support. During pregnancy, during childbirth, during postpartum and beyond, there is a community raising these children. And we have gotten so far from that because of the safety of things and because of our exposure to the unsafe things. But we still need community. We still need support. We still need to feel held. Our kids need other safe adults they can go to learn from, trust, rely on. See how other households do things. Try new foods, right? We need community. We need support. So upgrade your beliefs that tell you otherwise and ask for the freaking help. And then step 4 is, honey, you better choose wisely what you do with these hours that I'm giving you back in your day. Don't you dare get caught up on your to-do list of small potatoes. Isn't that what we do? We find an hour in our day and we're like, oh, I can deep clean this, or oh, I can go grocery shopping, or oh, I can pay those bills, or oh, I can get caught up on my taxes, or oh, I can do this thing for work. Stop it. Unless those are things that genuinely light you up and bring you joy, or they're in alignment with your values, this is not the time to clean up small potatoes. This is the time to plug in your battery. This is where we choose wisely. This is where we rest. This is where we lay down, where we do a yoga nidra. Look that up if you don't know what it is. It's a guided meditation that basically brain maps you to get like one yoga nidra practice is the equivalent of like 2 or 3 hours of your most restful sleep. And you don't even sleep, honey. I try to do one every afternoon, I kid you not, to gear me up for what I call second shift of motherhood. Yoga nidra, meditation, reading a book, going on a walk, connecting with a friend, having a coffee that you love, journaling, going to a class, learning something new, right? This is where when we have the courage to claim some space, we have a tendency to fill it with crap. And then we never actually feel rejuvenated, rested, or recharged. Here is where you have to fight the resistance to do those things and let yourself chill. Breath work, going out in nature. It's just sitting around, right? I don't give a crap if you want to get caught up on some reality television. I'm not saying it's the healthiest, but you know what? We deserve to chill. Whatever chill looks like for you, whatever is truly restful for you, that's what you got to do in these moments. And the last thing, the 5th thing, is that as you start to claim space, as you start to set boundaries, just know that it's a normal part of the process that we're going to need to manage our mind and maintain our boundaries. Because again, we're going to feel bad, or our kid's going to ask us to do something and it's going to be so easy to say no to ourselves and say yes to them. Or our partner is going to have like a weird tone, which we're going to misperceive as they're not okay with us going to yoga. And so then we're going to say, oh, I'll stay home and help you with the kids. Listen, no. Do not misread things. Do not assume things. Do not misperceive things. Manage your mind. So when your mind is telling you, oh, it looks like my partner's had a hard day, I don't know if I should leave and go to my yoga class, you remind yourself of your reframe and your reprogram. I deserve to feel good. I deserve to rest. Self-care is selfless. When I recharge, I can take better care of my family. My partner having a hard day, he's not asking me to fix it or stay home. That's an assumption that I'm making based on my caregiving nurture that I've been conditioned to have. You see where I'm going with this? So it's not like a one and done. Okay, I've done these parts. I figured out where I can claim some space. I've made the request and now it's smooth sailing. No, my loves. Here's where it gets really hard. There's going to be a lot of distractions and a lot of other people's needs that try to pull you out of your new way of being. And it's on you, honey, to build the muscle where you come back to your intention, where you come back to the thing you said you were going to do for you, where you manage your mind and you remind it of the new belief system, the new way of thinking, the new way of being, where you say no to that thing and you let yourself be in the feelings of that, where you go anyways, even though it's hard. And every time you protect your space on the calendar, you protect your boundary, you manage your mind, you're building this beautiful muscle around getting back into your intention. And this is what I coach people on every day. It's not just about having this crafty intention. The real work is in the building of the muscle to get back in when you fall off, because you will. You will fall off. And it's not about doing this perfectly. Sometimes other things are needed of us that are big, like our kiddo is sick or our kiddo gets hurt or this work thing comes up that we can't get out of. We're not talking about living in a rigid manner. We have to be flexible. But, just misreading my partner's had a hard day, so I shouldn't go to yoga, which I know resonates with you. That's not an opportunity to give in. That's an opportunity for you to double down on your intention and build that muscle of staying true. And every time you do that, my love, you are sending a message to yourself. Your brain is recording this information as truth, that you freaking matter. And that helps with the reprogramming of those beliefs. Not to mention energetically what signal you're sending out to the universe when you show up for yourself. So that's where the real work lies. The building of the muscle, the managing the messiness of your mind as you start to make these changes and claim space for yourself, the reframing and reprogramming over and over again until you have new beliefs and new neural pathways and new ways of existing, the maintaining the boundaries when someone pushes back, reminding your partner of what your needs are, reminding your neighbor of the commitment y'all made, whatever it is. That's hard to do. But I love guiding moms through that, because on the other side of this is a little bit of freedom. And we don't need much, right? We love being a mom. I mean, not all parts of it, right? But in general, I love being a mom. I love being a helper. I love having a business. I love having a husband. I love our home. I love our neighborhood. And what's also true is I cannot be those things without alone time every single day, where it's more quiet, where I'm sitting with my thoughts and feelings, where I'm recharging my station, where I'm remembering who I am underneath all these roles I've adopted, where I'm getting clear on what matters and I'm setting beautiful intentions and I'm making progress in my life. I need that. And I want that for you. So if you've made it to this point in the podcast, mama, well done. Just the act of listening to this today sets some things in motion to drive some change in your life. And I am so excited to see what you do with this. I hope you found something in this show that you can put in your back pocket and weave into your world and start to see some beautiful outcomes, because you know what? You deserve it. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, doors are open for my group program for mamas, the Unperfected Mama. I would love to have you in there, where what we just did is just a teeny tiny one-way sample and snapshot of what you're going to get with me in this program, but you're also going to get it with each other. What are we all struggling with when it comes to asking for help, setting boundaries, getting clear on what matters, identifying the big potatoes? And it feels so good to hear from others who are going through the same thing. We get inspired. We rally and back each other up. And truly, I get to see mamas' lives transform in this process. So please check out the link in my show notes if you're ready to join us. Doors are going to close April 4th, so get on it. Anyways, mama, take care of yourselves and therefore each other, and I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Unperfected Pod. I hope this episode helped you feel a little less alone and a little more inspired to be you. If you like what we're doing here, I would so appreciate that you subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. If you do, share the episode on Instagram and tag me at Brooke Jean Unperfected to enter to win a 1-to-1 laser coaching session. Also, feel free to join me in my private Facebook community, Mommy's Mental Health Matters, where we continue the conversation. Thanks again for being here, and see you in next week's episode.